It's always about your point of view, even though there are some shitty things happening on the political scene. I'm not letting that ruin my homeland and my experience with Slovakia.
Slovaks can leave if they want, but I can't. I really appreciate my friends who doesn't leave.
I decided to go to the Czech Republic. I would love to come back. I grew up here, I have friends here. I don't want to leave just because the people who govern it are idiots.
I was a young girl who just came back to Slovakia because I believed that even one more person can make a change.
I wanted to leave, but I have this idea of making these events.
And now in Bratislava, London and Moscow.
Even though I'm not in Slovakia anymore, I want to come back.
If everybody leaves, nothing's gonna change.
I hate when people say that, oh, when Fico's gonna win, I'm gonna leave the country, but it's not gonna solve anything. I think we should stay here and fight for what we want.
It makes me confused maybe sometimes. Like on one hand I would love to leave it and just find something better, but on the other hand I am not able to do it.
To live in the country, if you don't care about the politics, if you just mind your own personal life and don't care about inflation and so on, it's kind of peaceful. But if you do care for those things, if you do care for culture, if you do care for the nature and so on, the current political state is not ideal. But I still love it here because Bratislava has this unique thing, because I work in a culture. We are not too small and not too big. Therefore, the community is really strong and people help each other and try to grow together. So that's like a really unique thing when you compare it to close capital cities like Vienna or Prague and so on. So Slovakia was under the communistic regime that ended. We are a democratic country since 1993. Before there was a big revolution on the 17th of November 1989. I was born on this day, but 10 years later. So this date often reminded me of how valuable is it to have a freedom, to have a freedom of speech, to have the ability to travel, because people, my predecessors before, they could not. If you disagreed with some political ideology from the state, you could go to prison. If you wanted to move out of the country, you basically could not if you didn't want to run away illegally, and you would get shot. So I feel like an artist living now, we still have freedom of speech. We can still make art about what we want. But at the same time, the heads of the state currently, I feel like they grew up or they used to participate in the communistic regime, and they want to bring this type of mentality, this type of censorship back. And we can already see it by the removal of multiple heads of galleries, the destruction of Kunsthalle Bratislava, the removal of the CEOs of National Gallery, of National Theatre, of Bibiana. We are very rich in culture, we are very rich in the nature, and both are being destructed. National parks are being put under lower restrictions. So there is multiple of platforms or ways. One of the examples is a platform of open culture, in Slovak otvorená kultúra. So I think this is something that's nice, that's like happening still. But I think there should not be external forces to make it for the people to live better. I think that's responsibility of the politicians, and the politicians completely ignore people's needs. I think the way to improve is to hear, is to listen, to not avoid communication, because this is what I find problematic with the current political party, is they refuse to have discussions. So the more we hear each other's stories, the more we hear how we live, how we do, how we think, the more we can become empathetic, because empathy is a skill, it's not something that you are born with. So the more we communicate, the better it will get. What I feel like is happening now is like this fog of fear that's coming around the people, because in the past, in the communistic regime, people used to live in a fear to speak their own mind. So this is the sort of mindset that many people grown up here and are still living with here in Slovakia, because the communistic regime didn't end 100 years ago. It's very close still. It's not a matter of old people, it's a matter of still young people who live here. So we need to be brave, and we cannot let extremist ideologies fill our hearts. We need to communicate, and we need to learn how to grow, to be better, to do better.
I was born in Ukraine and I moved here when I was 17, and since I'm 18 I live in Bratislava. Yeah, like the last 1 or 2 years it's been more and more like anxious, depressing, because of all the new laws and restrictions and stuff they're like do, and you can't really like breathe out on one thing, and then they do the next thing. It's it's sad. It's like I'm angry and I'm really anxious, because like I wasn't born in this country. I moved in here, and then the things started to fucked up really quickly, and then like Slovaks can leave if they want, but I can't. And like, I really appreciate my friends who doesn't leave, and so we live in our like bubble, and just trying to stay positive and to support each other and to protest and do something at least. Yeah, but it's tough. And now I'm really curious about the cultural strike, like what they gonna do, how's it gonna be, like will the Ministry of Culture notice something, or they will just like act like nothing is happening. It like I really appreciate like the Open Culture project because of the hope and unity they bring and all of the work they do, but I'm just not sure if it's if it's gonna change something because of the whole government thing, and so I just sit there and watch like the dog in the burning house. Some of my friends moved to Czechia because it's close, because the similar language, and because like mostly they have a lot of friends in there. Some of my friends move farther, like Belgium, and now Celestine also, but she will return probably. I hope. We'll see in 2 years. It's a whole problem about people moving out from Slovakia for the last 20 years. And nobody do nothing about it. But Slovakia is like, it's a really nice country, like, and culturally, because I haven't seen, like, in a lot of places such a wide spectrum of cultural life. Okay, first it started in Bratislava and Košice, like the biggest towns, and then like now they have cultural centrum even in the smallest towns like Rimavská Sobota. I guess it has like 9,000 people, and a lot of like Litovský Mikuláš, Žilina, and there are cultural places in the one is called like Hole into the World. It's really like a hole, like there's nothing in there. I guess it's like in Liptovský Mikuláš, but they created their safe space, their cultural space, and it's amazing. Now I work, like I started with people who are trying to create the same things in their like maybe towns or villages. Yeah, I will just give more freedom to the culture and like more support. I just started joking recently. I really love the stars and the space and everything. And in the tarot deck, there is a card, the star. And I always liked this card. And I read that it symbolizes hope. Since I saw it, I was like, oh, that's my card. That is a really good coincidence or something. I don't know, maybe it's like a match made in heaven or something. And I just try to bring people hope. Yeah, we better hope for the brighter future, but not only like hope, but also if we have the opportunity to change something, is to change something, not to leave it like that, blank, doing nothing. I think like it's okay to feel a whole bunch of emotions because a whole bunch of things is happening. I'm not only feeling depressed or something. Like I also feel angry. I feel like inspired to do something because my friends are saying me that I'm really tough-headed because I always do things like to the opposite of that what they tell me. Sometimes it's true. And now I'm really like in my tough-headed mood. I just want to do more art.
Right now I feel kind of desperate about the situation because I have no idea what I can do to actually help. Because I signed all the petitions, I went to the protests that I could. I wrote emails, I sent messages, but it doesn't really change anything because the people who are in power don't care. Yeah, so there were like multiple reasons. And first of all, it was personal, that I wanted to go outside of the city where I grew up. And the second one, which is almost the same importance, is that the education in Slovakia isn't the best. So I decided to go to the Czech Republic. Yeah, I would love to come back and to be active in the cultural sector. I think we still had like a very high standard that we got used to. It was still pretty bad, but it could be worse. Like in Eastern Europe, it's worse than in Slovakia. And now when the funds for like supporting culture will be paralyzed and controlled by the current government, it will certainly be horrible for a few years, but I still have hope that after the 5 years, like the next election will get it back and we will have a chance to rebuild it, because I mean, it's not just culture that it's suffering under this current government, it's also the other parts. And because of corruption or just incompetent leaders. I think I'm gonna see how it's gonna turn out in the next few years. I'm still young, so there's not much I can lose, I guess. Maybe I'm worried a bit about my parents because they told me that they won't leave. Like, they don't want to leave, they are happy here and they don't care that maybe they will be forced to work longer for a few years because nobody, like no young people will be here to be able to generate income and money so their retirement will be paid for. But yeah, I think it's going to turn out okay. I mean, it does in the end. People will stand up for their rights. We just need to try to I think like empower everybody and they will choose to stand up for themselves.
What has been happening in culture since, let's say, February or March, the minister, Martina Šimkovičová, she started to do a few changes because she felt that people who are sitting in institutions are not competent, which is a total lie, of course. Actually, there was a new law that was handled into the parliament that was saying that the fund as it works will stop working, and they openly said that if it is anything about feminism or LGBTQ or anything, any topic like this is a total no. Not only the fund and the television are destroyed, and the whole directory is changed, the people they left, of course, and then we still have here other institutions that have been destroyed. It's about 5 institutions right now.
We got to vote and then we found out that only few % were missing to change the situation.
This is in one way extremely positive news about Slovakia. That means that Slovakians are able to vote for somebody extremely progressive. It is a very, very good news for us. We have to carry on and to hope that it will change, hopefully in 3 years, or if not in 3 years, in 7 years. So these are also the good news that we should not forget about, because it's really a huge number. Like, even in France, it's almost impossible that such a big number would vote for somebody so liberal, and so it's not that bad. It's not that bad as it looks. You know what, I found out that I can only provide if I will be okay, of course. So what I do now, I take shifts. Let's say, for example, in the spring I was not able to be active in the Otvorená kultúra, so I was not. Then I had a possibility, somehow I had less work, more free time, blah blah blah, so I gave my best, and then now again it has been months, maybe 2 months, 3 months that I am not active anymore, because I just felt that I needed that time. I need to take it for myself. I need it in order to be okay. I needed proper vacation and nice summer. And of course, I still do talk about it every day, and I have to handle this situation every day. But I was just less active because I had to think of myself. Like, I serve and then I serve myself. And sometimes I feel bad about it when I am not active, because I only observe it from afar and it's terrible and it's really hurting me. But I had learned that I also have to think of myself, and only like that I will be able to provide in the future. So we will see what will happen now.
My name is Martin. I was born here in Bratislava. I study translation and interpretation, English and German. At the same time, I work at the Slovak radio. We are recording this interview in Aštvorka, A4, an independent culture center in Bratislava, where I also currently help out as a PR manager. And at the same time, I have some freelance job at a university. Now, to talk specifically about television and radio, this was also one of the institutions that saw big changes because they changed the law. Very soon after the election itself last year, we saw a lot of critique from these politicians. They said that we are not objective, that we violate human rights even. We do not know to this day what they meant by saying this. What I see as the most alerting part of it, or the most dangerous part, is the intimidation within the institution. For example, the director of the radio, the new one, approached me. The way I understood it is that he basically said to me that I should not do these open gestures of protest against what is happening. I openly protested against having one of the politicians invited to a radio station and doing an interview because I thought the principle of impartiality would be violated here. This is still an ongoing thing, so I do not know how it will end. So I'm concerned about the atmosphere there because, in my opinion, the public service broadcaster should really stand for its values, to stay impartial. There were many people that left. For the television news department, it was quite a big thing because now the expertise is lacking there. I'm now in the process of deciding whether I will stay or not. I'm 22. I have no experience with such abrupt changes and efforts to politically influence your work. It's hard to do that, but at the same time, a lot of experience for the future. Yeah, I think it's in a way hard to stay positive. Very often in the strike committee or the Slovak culture strike, we face a lot of negative stuff that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Very often, you have your job, or you have two of them, or you have school when you still study. And as an extra, during late hours or somewhere in between, you're trying to write a statement against something that you want to openly protest against, or we are coordinating the efforts, etc. There are also positive aspects about that. For example, the fact that the Slovak culture community came together. I met a lot of new people within the community, and those are very nice discussions we have. But I think the solidarity is a very nice message to us. And for me, what is extremely positive is that the European Union has many laws that can protect some of the values that are important, and the member states have to respect this. And one of the new laws next year in August is the European Media Freedom Act. That means that the recently adopted law on Slovak television and radio will have to be changed. It will be a lengthy process, but I think in many ways this will be life-saving for media landscapes in many different countries, not just for Slovakia, because there are similar issues in many Eastern European countries or our closest neighbor, Hungary. And I think this is something that is worth staying positive about. There's cooperation, solidarity with other countries within European Union and within other formats of international cooperation. I think that's important.
It's been pretty turbulent here. Many things happened, but I try to have always positive view on things because I try to live in a moment and surround myself with the people I like. Sometimes I'm trying to have a pink glasses and not to look on things only from a negative way, because otherwise I would be very sad every day, and I don't want to be this way, because then it will be quite depressing. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't agree with me, but I think it's calmer now than it was in Slovakia. I feel that there are many more opportunities for young people especially, and we're more open to the world. I think it's better, and I would be lying if I would say that we're living horrible life, because I think we're in a few % of population which is living a very good life, because there is war all around the world. People are starving, people are living in horrible conditions, and I think it's very reckless for someone who is living, for example, in Slovakia in some nice flats say, oh my gosh, a horrible life. You know, you don't know what horrible life is. You're very lucky to live a life what you're living. That's the thing I love about Slovakia, that there's so many opportunities regarding the getaway, to go to nature. That's what I love. Like within few hours or even minutes, if you live in Bratislava, you can reach the forest. Or I love to go to Tatry mountains. I go every summer. I go hiking with my friends. There's no service on the hills or peaks of the hills, and I love it because no one can reach me, no one can call me. So it means I don't have any stress. There's no Wi-Fi. Yeah. I have my family here, my friends. I have all I need here. Yeah, the politics isn't ideal, but politics isn't ideal anywhere. Every country has some issue. Some country has bigger issues. Yes, that's true. Some country has smaller issues. But every country has an issue, and it's not solution just to go away. Like, of course, I want to live here. I like Slovakia. I'm very proud of Slovakia. Let's say not the politics, but I'm proud of what people we are, what we have. But we don't really cherish it enough, or we're taking it as a granted.
Hello, my name is Ludovic Nápoky, or Ludo. I come from a small village called Voderady. I am working as a cultural manager, let's say, and my main base is in the culture center A4, Space for Contemporary Culture, where I'm already working for more than 7 years. And besides that, I'm also coordinating the network of independent culture centers and organizations in Slovakia called Antena. And my third job is working for the experimental music festival called Next. So I think it's hard to say what are my feelings overall, because they're also changing, and last year is very, very intense, and the levels of my emotions and energy are on roller coaster. And I have days or weeks when I feel very motivated and very driven by feeling of responsibility, or wanting to contribute actually to some kind of defense or protection of the culture field and the values I believe in. But then there are also days and weeks when I feel very exhausted, very demotivated, very all the negative or all the negatives of these situations are accumulating and are very lying on me, and I feel almost paralyzed, it's hard to actually start doing anything. But I think this cannot last forever because it's just too exhausting. And I think I can see this on many other people who are also involved in open culture platform and the culture strike. So it's very fragile, and it's very special as well that we created such a force actually. But I think this whole house of cards is a very fragile thing. It's few individuals who are leading this whole movement and giving everyone else some kind of meaning and framework we can work in. But if these people will not be able to continue anymore, it can lead to this house of cards falling apart. Quite often recently I experience people asking me what they can do to help us, how they can support us, and it's actually quite a difficult question because there are so many problems and so many issues, and solutions are not very easy. But actually I realized that the best way to help each other and support the culture is just to not resign and stay curious and stay discussing, talking with other people, and maybe most important, to visit cultural organizations make them still alive, make them feel like they are important for people. So I think this is the best way people can show the support to the culture. Just fill the spaces by curious and smiling people.
My name is Barbara and I was born and I grew up in Nitra. In the context of what has been happening since the elections, I find myself thinking this made me decide that this won't end well. So this is one aspect of it that terrifies me 24/7. It's always there. But it's also because I'm a very anxious person. I always think about the people in Palestine and what's happening there and like other parts of the world where people are being killed and nobody is talking about it and nobody cares about it. And yeah, about the unions, in Slovak we say kultúrne odbory. And the abbreviation is KO. So it's like when in boxing, when you just hit someone so hard that they can't get up anymore. That's the state that we were in when we established these unions of art workers and cultural workers. It feels weird for me to talk about it because I was definitely not the only one, and I feel I have to say the names of the rest of the people. So Ivana Romanova, Eliška Mazalanova, also Tomáš Hudák and Zuzana Jakalova. The conditions for people working in the arts and culture sector in Slovakia have been like really bad for as long as I can remember, because those unions are intended to protect and are intended for people who work in the culture field and in the art sector, but are not official employees. So they are invoicing their work and don't have the actual protection by the law as the people who have contracts of being employed have. So that's what was the intention behind creating the unions. It's the same kind of direction that Slovakia has been going in as other states that have pro right wing or right wing governments. They are attacking women's rights, queer people, minorities, and then all those fields are very closely entwined with like arts and culture. So we have this group of people in the parliament who were in a Catholic union. They were trying to restrict the abortion rights or restrict the time when you can get an abortion, all kinds of stuff to basically restrict women's rights to decide what to do with their bodies. I feel like it's like everywhere else in the world that the most vulnerable of the people are queer people, women and minorities, people who are not white, who are not cisgender, who are not heterosexual. My utopia would be that we don't have to work to survive and we would get some kind of monthly allowance to live by, and we would like participate in things in our community, and then we could have time to do our hobbies, cook, crochet, knit, make art that doesn't have to be good, that doesn't have to be sellable on the art market. I don't feel this system is working very well. Maybe to not be hard on ourselves, to ask for help when we are exhausted and suffering and in pain. And I want to thank the the people around me and the group who created the culture unions, and yeah, join us if you work in the culture field.
So I come from a small town called Hlohovec. Right now I live in Bratislava. I think I feel better living here, but on the other hand, every day I get really disappointed by the situation in Slovak politics. I stopped even looking in details to the things that happen because it stresses me out. Also, I feel at home here. I like the mentality, I like the culture here. I think it got stronger and stronger since last few years. I'm proud of it, and whenever I go away from Slovakia, I miss it here. I miss my family. I cannot imagine just like moving away and leaving it all behind. I also feel close to social issues and issues connected to minorities. They don't get enough space in our country, so I also thinking like if I get lost or if I get tired of working in the culture industry, I think maybe I would switch it up a bit and just like try to help the people that need it more. Well, I think I would change what a lot of people would, like the politics, that I can't remember when we had a good government or a government you could depend on. It's always very insecure. You don't know what you will wake up to. Yeah, I always had this like dream, like I would get like a kind of boring job that pays me well, and then the side project that would be something that would be from my heart, would be even for free because I would just put my time and my energy into it. I think I would definitely start something smaller in initiative, something that could help people. Like I think in Czech Republic it's more progressive, or how would I say it, like there are some initiatives that only help like women in film production. It's just like they are called Girls in Film. And I made an interview with them and I was so inspired, and I was like, there isn't anything like this in Slovakia. Like if I would have the energy and like the talent and people around me, I would definitely do something like that. Or there is another initiative that is focused on like consent and females, and they even changed the law because of their initiative. In Slovakia we still have the law like badly written, that it's only like if it's rape then it's rape, and then like nothing like not small nuances. And in Czech Republic, because of the initiative, they changed it. We don't have even the initiative, so maybe, you know, like there are so many things that are not here that I think, yeah, if I had a boring job I would definitely do just something like this for free, or I don't know.
My name is Daniel Kazanko. I'm 32 years old. I'm from Slovakia, but my father is from Russia. Basically, the whole life I was living in Bratislava here. But because my father is Russian, I experienced the culture quite a lot from home, and it also created or formed my opinion on Russia a lot. And it's connected also to the situation in Slovakia right now, because our politics is influenced by Russia quite a lot. So everything meets together in my head somehow. Right now we can observe that minorities have some problems in Slovakia, because especially in the art sector, just few days ago the current director of Slovak National Theatre refused to host a theater from Czech Republic that was aiming to do some LGBT friendly performance. It was based around the festival Drama Queer, and the problem is that the people who are in like our government right now, they think that they have right to tell us who is better in our society, and they think they have right to silence the people who are different. And I would be happy if this would change and everything would be based more about discussing things, and people would try to be ethical, but I think it's not possible in this situation right now. So maybe we can take examples from other countries around us, how to like treat this situation, how to like escape the big octopus, like a big Russian octopus who is trying to control the environment around with fear and violence. So I think that's the important thing, to look for ways how to be free and be able to express, for example, express in your art the problems that are around and to be not silenced. I think that we should resist the fear in our society and to continue to spread our values and continue to respect others and fight for minorities, because these are the people who need like our help, and we don't want to change into states that will look like Russia in future. We want to respect the space of others.
I think that it's very easy to find bad things here. When you open the news, there is always something frustrating. But I think it's important to not that get to you and to find the things you like about Bratislava and about Slovakia, because I think any other country or all the other countries have their downsides and their problems, so it's not only us. I understand that it's easy to compare. I have my own bubble of friends which have the same thinking and the same vision as I do, so it's also very helpful when it comes to staying positive, because I'm not meeting old frustrated people. I'm meeting young people which are also positive and optimistic and want to change things to better. And I would like to encourage all the young people to go out and to see, and then they would maybe appreciate what they have at home a little bit more.
Yeah, the situation is really bad. I think we all know it. And for me personally, even when now I am outside of Slovakia, because of my future studies, I am still like feeling the pressure when I open my Instagram or when I talk to people I love. There is always something to be afraid of or like a fight against, and the tempo is really crazy. Even though I'm not in Slovakia anymore, I want to come back, and I will be coming back every now and then. The only thing that I think is now important is to be active, or also maybe from abroad, to contact someone and create some kind of Slovaks abroad platform or something like that, and also push from outside the country. For example, one problem that can be problematic for all, even for students, is that they are closing the galleries. So the gallery infrastructure is really collapsing or has the potential to collapse at some moment. There will be only like the private sector of the gallery infrastructure available maybe soon. Or when you are doing some kind of underground art, that is also a way how to exhibit, but we are not in the 90s anymore or 80s, so I think like to go or think about this kind of exhibitions is really like going to the history, and we know what history was, and like if we think straightly we wouldn't want it to repeat. So yeah. And I mean, the thing is also like A4 is really being under pressure right now because they are a vital part of Bratislava cultural life, and they need the fundings. And when they won't have them, then less and less opportunities for young artists, for emerging artists, for anyone to express themselves in that space. So.
Jack Evam, and I'm running a small contemporary gallery. The culture scene in Slovakia, it is like in bubble, like in cultural bubble, and there are like a special events for next year, and that in the gallery there are gonna be really experimental music for bands that are, for example, trying to play but they don't have space to play. There's events with more focus there, more inclusivity and more for example more the LGBT community. I wanted to leave, but I have this idea of making these events, and I think it is more relatable to make it here than, for example, in Prague. And this is one of the perspectives I stay here because when I build it here. It's hard, well, because it is happening. The government is like trying to take over the art in a way. They try to take over the grant system because it was before transparent, and we as a gallery, but we have money from the government. Then we are, for example, not expecting the money next year because we are supporting the arts what they don't like, and this is why we want to fight differently.
My name is Nina de Gelder, and I'm the executive director of A4. I also work with an international animation film festival. I was born in Bratislava. I especially like that it's surrounded by Carpathians and that there are a lot of opportunities to swim. I like the coziness of the city. You can walk to the center very easily, and at the same time, just in 15 minutes, you can be in the forest. Now, when I say we, I mean Antenna, the network of culture centers in Slovakia that I, as a part of A4, am a part of, and also I'm a member of the board. And we started organizing the protests, different activities that led to creating the strike alert, so culture strike. I'm really happy that we are an active part of this initiative. I find it extremely important and communicate to the public how important culture is in their life. Actually, I want to say is that it was the first time after the summer that I felt anxiety. Like maybe it was already a lot happening for a long time. And I really in myself felt that things can go very, very wrong. And on one hand, I'm ready to do something about it and work on the situation getting better and being an active member of the society. But at the same time, I felt, I don't know how else to say it, like anxious. Yeah. What I would change, if I need to say it like this, I would certainly push more for communicating the activities in a positive way to much broader audience. So, because I'm very much aware of the bubbles that we live in. It's like we create, in at least culture centers are really these safe islands, but we need to open up and we need to try to reach much broader audience.
Hi, I'm Branislav. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Lučanec. City of Lučanec is located in the south of Slovakia, but lived for 5 years in Banská Bystrica, and now in Bratislava, London, and Banská Bystrica. So I'm switching between the cities. Like, the situation here is bad, but I think about it in bigger context, because when I look at the other countries, the situation is also bad. And since I'm from Banská Bystrica, we used to have the guy called Kotleba here, and we kinda discovered what these kind of politicians can do if they have the power. So it was no surprise to me that Fico and his band gonna start doing this stuff. It's actually a pretty huge topic when I think about that. For example, I do believe, like this, because I came from my sister is a nurse, my aunt is a nurse, and this kind of family, that we have something like this. And I do believe that healthcare is a right to everyone, and maybe the healthcare system, because it's bad. You're gonna wait a couple of months for basic operations, and there are a lot of deaths are unnecessary here. And we kinda do not talk about this in Slovakia. We talk about culture and this kind of stuff, cultural wars, to be perfectly clear. Like, we talk about, like, this is bad, like liberals are bad, conservatives are bad, but I haven't seen Slovak political debate about healthcare or inflation in a really long time. So healthcare is pretty crucial for me. So yeah, maybe some reform. I don't know how, I'm not the expert, but if that was just to do some switch, that would be it. Maybe support your communities around you, and support the people who need it, and support the friends, your family, and this kind of stuff. Maybe that's the comment I want to say to the world, because that's like really what it is about. We cannot change how this country, like, we cannot change the politicians. Maybe we can, but you know what I mean. Like, we cannot change it like this, but we can do something good for our closest one, maybe our neighbors, our friends, and maybe we're gonna spark a little in them to create a movement. Or I don't know, maybe I'm too idealistic or optimistic about this, but I do believe that change is possible from all of us. So
I'm not going to lie, I feel a giant anxiety about climate change, about the political situation, and I have a gut feel that it is all going to turn out very badly. But I was at Alica Koubova talk on human resilience a few weeks ago, and I'm actively working on my own resilience. So I think my emotions about future are going to get better. I'm planning to have my future film-oriented as I was having till now. Currently, at my age, which is 23, it's very important to start right with my work life.
Hello, my name is Ondrej. I'm university teacher and computer scientist. I live in Košice, that is the second biggest city in Slovakia. I am also a musician, and I am a husband and father of 2 small kids. How do I feel about the current situation in Slovakia? I am really worried about now situation. On one way, I live in a very nice bubble around my family and great people at my work and all people around art and music. But I feel really big pressure flowing from social media. It's very depressive. And I feel one of the great problems is extreme polarity of society everywhere. If there is some positive message, what I try to think about and where is my hope is that maybe everything around all that what I mentioned, polarity and hate in society, that maybe everything is just a virtual problem. What I think that situation could change if everybody will focus on the real world and not on virtual problems made by politicians.